All right, so in this video, I'm going to walk through what you need um, to build a world in Unity, specifically a music venue with working lights and reflections and screen effect shaders and stuff like that. So basically, right here, you'll see things that you need. You need the Unity hub, and basically you'll make an account for that to be able to sign in. You'll want to download this package. Don't install it with Unity Hub. Download the VRChat Creator Companion. All these links are in the description, by the way. Um, but the Creator Companion will find it and install it for you and do everything that's needed. VRC Light Volumes is free by RedSim. That'll be more optimized volumetric lighting instead of real-time lighting. Bakery isn't necessarily needed, but it's heavily recommended for world lighting. It's significantly faster than Unity's built-in. Takes advantage of your CPU and GPU combined, and the results look a lot better. And then just for this specific video, Pro TV, you can use any video player, but this one comes with a component that I like a lot called RCTGI, or sorry, RTGI updater, which I'll get into later. Optional is going to be Leslie's Screen Fog. All of these will be featured in this video, and you'll see why. But Leslie's Screen Fog, which is an asset that you can do really crazy things with a screen, and it's pretty cool looking. The Googie Fader system, which is a shader board or an FX panel. Mochi shaders, these are how you get your screen effects, as well as just a really clean workflow for creating materials to work on your world. LCTGI by Pi, this is how you're going to get your reflections from the video screen that are more optimized versus like a real-time reflection probe and stuff. And then these two you'll see I'll be using a Banana CDJ asset, which is found on Booth. I think that is CDJ 2000 SX, as well as some speakers. Some of these are going to be packages that you can drag and drop, as well as some of these are going to be repositories, which what you would do for that is in the VCC, you'd go to settings, and you go to packages, and you could go to add a repository. Any of the links that have a repository, they will have the instructions to copy and paste this, or just a link to open this automatically, and it'll pop up a template, and it will just import, which is super nice. As well as for Pro TV, specifically, you're going to have, in order to see everything that's for it, you'll want to go to your settings, packages, and then scroll all the way down to pre-release packages and check that on, as there is some things in beta, or I believe, or whatever. You'll need that for video player shim, which is a feature to be able to view media playback in the Unity editor in play mode. So that way you can test things live before upload. So once you have all, at least this stuff installed, then what we can do is what we should have, you don't need to have this open, but you want to make sure you open this once to sign in so the license activates. So we can close this out, and we can do this. We can go to projects. You go to create a new project, Worlds 2022. And create project. Now, your screen will not have as many things that are going to pop up here, but the things that are necessary will. You'll see what I mean in just a second. All right, so what will pop up is VRChat SDK Worlds, Resolver Tool, Base, as well as VRChat World Toolkit. I believe that comes with it. I believe that's automatically with the Worlds, as well as Audio Link. So those are already in. Just keep them on the latest versions. We'll install VRChat World Toolkit. We'll do audio link. Audio link is going to be how we link up the audio from the video player to people's avatars, as well as any audio reactive objects or shaders. We're also going to install the Pro TV and Pro TV extras. Actually, yeah, just anything Pro TV related. I always just throw it in. I don't know what else I need from it, but you'll see right there the video player shim that comes up from pre-releases, if I'm not mistaken. All right, Pro TV extras, and this does take a while. I know there's another program that I think does the same thing that's easier. I'm not sure. I've never looked into it though. Let's see. We got the video player shim. That's the one I need. We'll do VRC light volumes. We're gonna do LCTGI. As well as, might be a good point. I totally forgot to do this. I'll put a link to these in the description as well. These are TXL access. These are going to be needed for the Googie fader system. These are going to be the things that connect everything together, provide your whitelists to be able to have people request or deny people that want to use the panel and stuff like that. So that way not everybody can touch it. So apologize for not having that in the beginning, but I will link these. So you'll need those in the scene. When you click to add one, it'll add the other necessary one if I'm not mistaken. Yep, so it'll add the common one as well. So you only need those. Just make sure I don't need anything else from this. I don't believe I do. All right. So it should look something like this. And just make sure that, like I said, totally forgot at the beginning of the video. Make sure you get these to get the fader panel to work. So we'll go ahead and open project. During the import, this will pop up for AV Pro currently not detected. Hit yes import. All right, so we gotta let the scripts compile and everything. Unity does this thing where it'll be open, but it's not ready yet. All right, so once this is good, a platform should pop up just like that. And then the way my Unity is set up, I already have the SDK over here, so and the lighting. So I'll show you how to do that real quick because it'll help the workflow a lot better. All right, so oh, not done yet. Okay. Okay. Oh my God. All right, so I don't know why it did this, but it put me in the game tab. If it does this and you can't move around, go to the top left and click scene to be able to move around. For the SDK and the lighting, these won't be here. It should literally just be in your inspector. If you want to add these, what I'll do is I'll just remove these real quick. You'd go to Window. Well, first you want to do the control panel for the VRChat SDK. Click the actual tab itself. Just drag it on over. And then you can also do this. You can add a tab. You can add different things like this, as well as window for the lighting panel, which will be somewhat important. We're going to go to rendering, lighting, grab that, drag that on over. So click on the inspector. I'm going to go ahead and sign in real quick, and then I'll be right back. All right, so once you're signed in, you'd want to hop over to the SDK and then go over here first, set up the layers, set up the collision matrix, and then you should be good to go. So go to the inspector again. and then this is where the packages are going to become important. So we'll go to my desktop, we'll go to world stuff, we'll search up Mochi. Let's click any package. I think I'm on an older package, but most of them will work just fine. Import. Go to, let's see, fog light screen. This will also be uni package. Import. See what else there was. CDJs and those. We'll go banana. Oh, go back to desktop. Old stuff. There it is. So that'll also be a world or a Unity package. We'll go and look up the here's the speakers. I'm very disorganized, so all right, I think that should be it. Oh, and then the Googie fader system. It'll pop up as Demug Us. For me, I don't know if it's been changed since, but click on that. I don't know why I have so many copies of it. Go ahead and import that as well. All right, so we should have everything we need in the scene to be able to build. We're going to add a couple more things from Unity itself. So if you bought Bakery, you're going to have to go in here for it. If you bought it, it'll pop up in packages and my assets. Also highly recommended the real-time preview. If you have a good enough GPU, it'll let you look at how the lights are going to react in real time before you actually bake. So we'll import Bakery. Hit import. All right, Bakery has been imported. We're also, you don't need this, but it's really useful. I'm also going to import the real-time preview. If this pop us, just hit yes. All right, and this is important. This is how you're going to be able to build in Unity without having to go into Blender. So you go to Unity Registry, search up Pro Builder, and then hit install. It's free. All right, once Pro Builder is installed, you'll go up to, you can close this out. Go up to Tools, and then you'll see Pro Builder, and then Pro Builder window. This will pop up. Kind of what we did earlier. You put it wherever you want. I like putting it somewhere down here. And then if you want like a really nice workflow with it, instead of having the text, you can do icon mode. And then this will pop up, and this is how you're going to build your shapes. But before we do that, I want to delete this. I don't know if you need this or not. I've always deleted it out of every one of my worlds, as well as this floor. The directional light we'll keep for now. Also, if you click up here where it says Y, you can turn on a grid, and that'll be your 0, like your ground level. Although it really doesn't matter how far up or down you go. But what we can do now is we can start building. So we'll build a base. Um, I usually just build with a cube if I'm doing anything. we're just gonna keep this very simple for the sake of the video, but um, hit Control and you'll grid lock with the actual grid. And then if you go, yeah, you just click and drag. And then if you drag outside, you can let go. And then you can just kind of free roam with it. So you can move around, make it as big as you want. But if you hold Control, it'll still grid snap. So we'll make this about 6 wide. And then we'll come this way. We'll scroll down. And again, we're like this. We'll go 6 wide with it. And we'll come all the way down this way. And then if you click again, it'll have you raise it. Before you do that, make sure you zoom in so you're not making like something just absolutely massive. And then you can also control to set like a limit. As you can see, if I'm holding control to do that, if I let go of it, it's smooth. So we're gonna do control click. Now we have a nice little platform. And we can build off of this too. So we'll build some walls. So we'll start at the corner, drag out, and then do that. And we'll click up and we'll make this, each square I believe is a meter. So we'll go up 4 meters. And then what we can do is on this mesh that we have, let's rename these as we go to stay organized. We have this as a wall. This is going to be our floor. Click on this, Control C, Control V. It'll duplicate the mesh. And then we can do that control click thing. Make sure that's lined up. All right, now we have our wall. Yeah, that's fine right now. And then we're gonna create another. Remember, we're control clicking this right now. Just to snap with the grid. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll control C to copy, control V to paste, and same thing. Control click to snap in place. Now we have a nice little box that we can work with. Ideally, you'll get creative and want to build something else, but just for the sake of this, we'll keep it like this for now. And we can put a roof on later. But what we're gonna do now, actually, we'll put a roof on now. It'll be dark in there, but it'll make sense because we'll work all inside of it. So we'll control click to this corner. All right, so now we got a nice box. And then we'll turn off lighting for now. And then that way you can see everything for how it is. Lighting's going to be up here. This is going to be your directional light. Keep it however you want. Not that big of a deal either way. Now usually what I do is my workflow is going to be more about setting up lighting before everything. Or I should say setting up things and then doing lighting and texture work. I guess, I don't know, you'll see my workflow here. We'll just rename this a wall. Rename wall. And then just do this. To stay organized too, you can create an empty object and you can have this as walls and then drag all of the walls under that. Oh, and then you can click down. So now it has all your walls together, but it still stays modular, which is super nice. And you have your floor. Now what we'll do is we're going to create some materials and then we can add texture to them later if we want. But right now, we're going to go into our assets folder and we're just going to create an empty or a folder. And we're going to say world mats. Click on this, right click in it, go to create, And with Mochi, you can either do a Mochi standard or you can do a standard Unity material. We're gonna do Mochi standard. We're gonna name this walls. Don't have to do anything with that right now. But what we can do is now assign this to things. It's gonna look kind of strange right now, but also I believe this is part of the wall. This is actually the ceiling, so we're gonna rename this roof, and we'll drag that out. All right, and we'll create another material, Mochi standard for the floor, and maybe we'll change the base color of this. We'll assign this first. Click on it, scroll down, go to the shader. We'll just change the color up of it. We'll say this is going to be gray to add some definition to it. And if we add lighting, you'll see, or if we remove lighting now, you can see the corners. We'll just turn that off for now. Create one more material. We'll name this the roof. We'll assign that. And we'll change the color of this to, let's just say brownish or something. All right. So now it'll look like that from the outside, but we're not too worried about that at the moment. Now this would be a point where I would normally say we can go to a website called PBR Materials. So let me open a new tab here. Search it up on Google's Animate CG. And then you can just browse assets. So we're going to do walls, materials. Oh, do wall. All right, so each one of these will come, you can kind of see what it would look like. And a lot of these will come with the textures, the normal maps, which are going to be what gives these textures a raised look. The metallic texture, sometimes the ambient occlusion, stuff like that. So we'll do something like this for the walls. Most of these are going to be free. I'm pretty sure all of them are free. And then we'll do the 2K. You don't really need anything more for a world, but we'll just do the 2K for now. 2K PNGs, make sure it's the PNG. So that'll download. And then, oh, okay, hold on a second. Make sure you extract these. If you can't, if they're not extracted, then they will not import into Unity properly. So we can exit out of that, delete this, and then we can minimize this. And let's go and change the name of this real quick. Rename, show more options, rename. Brick, wall, textures. And then we can import this and let's make a new folder in here. Create new wall folder. Wall, textures. Although I think they just made that process harder. So what we'll do is we'll close out of that. Now we can just import this into the world mats thing. Now we'll click on the wall, click on the shader. We'll click on this. Oh, actually, sorry. Click on the wall and then lock it. This will make sure it stays up no matter what. So if I click on something else, it's still stuck on this wall shader. So now what we can do is we have everything we need to make the material. So we have our base color. So I believe that's going to be this one. Yeah. So that's going to be our base color. And this is going to be our displacement, our normal maps. I don't know the difference between these two. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. Could be wrong. Hit fix now. Now normal maps are gonna have, now as you can see, it looks somewhat like it's popping out, which is what you want. It's really good for what we're gonna do later with reflections and lighting. This is gonna be the ambient occlusion. Hit fix. And then this is gonna be your roughness map. Roughness is going to play an important part later as far as something being reflective, as whether it's smooth or not, for reflections and lighting. So we got that. You can mess with the tiling and stuff if you'd like to be able to change the way it looks, whether you want it wider or not, but we're just going to keep everything standard, how it comes for now. Now we're going to look for a floor material. So we'll go back to CG Trader. We'll go back. Floor. We'll just do something, we want something that's going to be good for light, something that reflects off the lights pretty well. I like this one. So we'll download that one. Excuse me. Open that up, go back to downloads. We'll extract all. We'll delete this. Rename this for organizational purposes. Floor mats, or floor textures. All right, we're gonna go back to the project. And then we're gonna go back to world mats and drag this back in. And same kind of deal, right? Where we can open this up, click on this, we'll unlock, and then we'll click this again. We'll lock it. And now we can work on this one. So this is gonna be, color will always be what your base color is. And then we'll do the normal map, let it fix. Looks like it has some sort of grooves to it, so that's good. We'll do our occlusion. We'll go fix. And then we'll go our roughness. All right, so we got that going, cooking for us. And the roof, we'll look up on here. All right, so ceiling. So ceilings are fun because you can do a lot with them. So some of these are going to be just like this. Some of these will have stuff where they'll have like emissions in them, and you can do emission baked lighting. So we're going to do one that has an emission in it for the sake of showing what it does. So what we'll do is we'll download the 2K. Click on it, downloads, extract. And then delete this. And then we'll rename. And then we'll bring this into the project. Click on that, lock it. And we'll go to our ceiling textures. So we'll go our normal map. We're going to adjust the tiling on this for it to make sense. So it's not just a bunch of little, ambient occlusion. If I turn on lighting, Oh, it's yellow because I made it yellow. Generally, you want to keep things white. Here's going to be your emission. So check on emission in the shader. And this is going to be your emission mask, or I mean your emission color. And it should automatically turn to white. And then just up check it 1, just for now. So you don't forget about it later. And make sure global illumination is set to baked. We're going to do our normal map. And then we're going to do our roughness. Anything it says fix now, just fix now. All right, so now we're going to adjust our tiling. Let's just do 5. Oh, sorry. We're going to do 0.5. Actually, 0.25. 0.25. All right, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to offset the Y. Yep. Make sure none of the lights are clipping. Make sure things look even. We're going to go a little further than that. We're going to go 0.3. That looks good enough for these purposes. But yeah, that's how you're going to be able to. Oh, we're also going to have to offset the other side. 2.1, 2. All right, perfect. So we got that going for us. Make sure these are set to white. That's set to white. All right, so I'll show you. Make sure everything that you're doing in the scene as you go to is static. So that's going to be up here. These should all be set to static. These are all static. Oh, I have it locked. So this is going to be, you want this to be static. All of these, you can just shift this and then click static. Roof is static, floor is static. Basically what that is doing is it's including it in a light bake. So what we'll do now is we are going to turn off the directional light. And then we're going to go into bakery just to make sure the lighting is working properly from the emissions. Set this up to, let's do an emission of, oh, it's already set to 1.4. Perfect. So we'll go to bakery, render light map, and this will pop up. Later, we're going to get into the experimental, but just for the test, we'll do simple. Do it 1K resolution, keep that how it is so it's just super quick, and then hit render. Hit yes, set recommended as default, render, and then it'll save. And then boom. Look how much of a difference that makes. So now, these emissions are providing ambient light to the world. Now this won't reflect off of avatars though, properly, I don't believe, but there is a way to do it. So what we're gonna do later is we're gonna set up light volumes. Actually, we can do that right now, but I'm gonna build a little place for the decks, add some speakers, add the Pro TV in the shader system, and then we'll set up light volumes in the screen fog. And then you'll see how this little box will turn into a tiny little rave venue pretty easily. So we'll go ahead and go back to Pro Builder. And what we'll do is now you can kind of free roam how you're building things. You don't really need that grid anymore. So we'll just build something like this. We'll build it about, that's going to be 2 meters. That's going to be 1.5 or something like that. Yeah. No, that's 1 meter. Yeah, we'll keep it just below 1 meter. And then move it around, try to make it centered. Probably push it out quite a bit. Maybe we'll actually shrink it down too. To shrink down these objects, instead of doing the scaling tool, you can actually click on this toggle, click on a side, and you can just kind of play around with it however you want and shrink it that way. So adjust that how I think I want it. Maybe shorten that up. And just to add a little flair, I'm going to click the top, but I'm going to drag it out, and you get this kind of cool little angled effect. And one thing for DJs, us as DJs hate colliders when it comes to these things. So make sure you toggle off mesh collider. Um, and then we'll also create a just standard material for that, or a mochi material for that. So go back to our world materials, create a material, and then we won't do a texture for this one yet, but we'll just do table, and we'll do that. Rename this deck table. Okay, so we got something cooking here. With the banana CDJ asset, if you got it, that'll pop up under banana CDJ, prefabs, and I believe it uses mochi. It doesn't, so we can swap all those to mochi. That's fine. We'll just do the 2 decks. Drag it up to place. And pink's never scary. You can quite literally just click on this and then hit mochi and hit mochi standard, and everything will swap and go like it's supposed to. Same with this. Mochi standard. All right. So now we have our decks. Make sure, as I say, some of these will import static, some of them won't. So make sure you're toggling on that these are static. So they're included. We're also going to add some speakers. As well as, okay, so yeah, everything should toggle on as global illumination. If it doesn't, click contribute to global illumination and receive under light maps. Or just copy these settings up here, and then everything should bake like this, how it's supposed to. All right, so we'll go to the speakers, prefabs, standard. I like the cherry wood a lot. And we'll just do these, bring it up. And we'll flip it around 180. And then another thing too, up here you have global and you have local. What local does is wherever it's facing, it'll move in that plane. If you have it on global, it'll move on the grid. A lot of times you're going to want things on global, except for small details. So what we'll do is we're going to copy and paste this. And then we'll just rotate this to face the other way. And this is something I like to do particularly with these speakers is there's a shader on here called Dark Carpet. I like to change the color of it to something a little bit lighter because it makes the lights look a lot better on it. Make sure that we're making these static. Yes, change the children. Same with this one. Okay, so now we got our decks, we got our speakers. These are also, all of this, they don't do anything related to sound. That's all going to be coming from the TV. It's just for looks and aesthetic. Make sure, I don't believe these come with colliders in them. They do not. So you can walk right through these, no problem. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a TV screen. What we're going to do is also, we're just going to create an empty speakers and put these in it. Perfect. So now those are all together. Now we're going to go down to, there's 2 ways you can import a TV. We're going to do the TV now. You can go to Pro TV, and then you can just add to scene a generic or a prefab, I like to just go into the Architect Pro TV and then click on Live Events. This is going to be the one that comes with your whitelist feature and all that fun stuff. Um, this will pop up. Click Import TMP Essentials. Um, I think I already have the rest of them. That's going to be your text. So like, all right, so I had to redo that because it wasn't coming with the proper text. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to flip this around again, 180. Drag that up, center it how you think. And then we'll go to the event hosts. We'll drag this out. Want that at about -90. And then we'll drag that against the wall. Put that summer over here. And then I always disable for me, I always disable the custom. So I just turn that off usually. And then for the audience, it's going to be the screen and the media controls. The media controls I'll usually make accessible somewhere towards the middle. So we'll go ahead and rotate this. And then drag this up against the wall. All right, so now you have your resync button and your volume slider for the audience, your screen setup, and all that good stuff. So now, if you go into Pro TV, you'll have a couple settings. Go ahead and add audio link, and it'll import audio link and everything you need. So that's all set up. Make sure you go and find the controller though. It'll always spawn somewhere far away. Just make sure you bring that in so you don't forget about it, because we'll be needing that later for our shader system setup. So we'll just put that somewhere over here for now. Okay. Another thing that we're going to do is, this is how I do my screen lighting for the world. People can use LCTGI for this as well, but I combine the two. I use LCTGI for the reflections, and I use RTGI for the screen lighting. So we'll go to Add Component, search up RTGI, Updater. That's all you need to do for that. Make sure for the screen, since it's going to emit light, that you contribute to global illuminations. You can have it receive shadows, but make sure it's going to light probes. So that way it emits to probes, and the probes can transfer that data to the floor, and other materials and whatnot. So we got that. All right, so now that we got RTGI updater on there, we're also going to throw LCTGI on for the reflections on the TV. If you click on it in packages, you'll see LTGI or CGI controller. Just drag it in the scene. Don't need to move it or anything like that. And now click on the screen again, add component, LCTGI, LCCGI, and then make sure it's on a screen. I always do LCT diffuse, and then make sure that you have it on texture. And then I have light map channel off because I'm only using it for the reflections and not the actual color that's coming off of it, because I have another system using that. Now, for the reflections to show up, you would want to make sure that you have on the shaders themselves, scroll down if you're using Mochi and click LCTGI. If you're using Pyomi World, it'll be the same thing, although I think it's automatic. I'm not 100% sure. Click LCTGI and then LCTGI. And if you notice, I only clicked on this wall for LCTGI because it's the same material for all four. This is a separate material, this is a separate material. Um, as well as if I want this to have it, which I think I'm just going to let the lights roll off of this one. But the decks, The decks are going to be that they're using Mochi, so I want them to also reflect the TV screen. Looks like it's already toggled on, so that's perfect. All right, so now this is where we're going to set up light volumes, and this is how we're going to get the audio or the lights on the TV to emit. So we're going to go to right-click in the hierarchy, click light volume. This will pop up, and then a box will pop up. Make sure you have this turned blue in the top right so you can see the box. Drag it somewhere in the middle. And then go to Edit Bounds. And you'll be able to drag these arrows however you want them. So we're going to go up and over. And on the outside, so you just want to hang it out a little bit on the outside of every part. All right, make sure it's hitting the bottom pretty good. We'll go just a little lower just in case. All right, so now that we got that set up, we'll hit Generate Light Probes. And this is going to look kind of scary. But now we have our light probes. I like to go one per unit. And then once you have that set up, this little window should be there that we just did one per unit and create light probe group. Now that also looks scary, but what this is doing is it's doing all, I can't really explain off the top of my head, but basically these lights will hit these probes and then basically anything off the screen will hit these probes and emit properly on avatars as well as the world. All we have to do is click out of it and it'll go away. And then to remove all the other stuff, just click on that. And then now we can go to the screen. And what I like to do is go here. And this is what we're going to do to make sure that we really see the light come from this. So we're going to emit this to 30 for global illumination brightness. And then let me just change the color of this real quick. Kind of want this to be darker. Maybe like that. Now what we can do, and this is the more advanced bakery setting. So now our light probes are all set up properly. Everything should be working good. Now we go to bakery, render light map, change from simple to experimental. We'll just make this a little bigger. And then we're gonna go shadow mask. This will make good shadows from light sources and all that good stuff. I'm really not explaining this well, but just do shadow mask. Keep everything how that is. I always do denoise fixed light bright edges. And then just for test purposes, we're going to keep these how they are and bump them up later for higher quality. Keep the emissive boost how it is. We don't have a terrain, so we don't need that checked. Ambient occlusion, turn that to 1 just to test out. That will make more defined shadows and make things look a little bit more realistic. And then this is the important one. Combine with enlighten real-time GI. So that's how we get RTGI to work. It's using Unity's Enlighten system for real-time global illumination from the TV. I have not noticed a difference in performance between that and LCTGI and or Area Lit. So don't be afraid to use it as of now. So we got that. We'll hit render, save. This will take a little bit longer than the initial bit because it's got to do the enlightenment first, and then it's going to be bouncing off all the probes and where things should be going. You see it's starting to look a little weird. Now it's doing all the ambient occlusion, all the GI bounces. All right, we'll get something that looks like this. So now you can see it's a little brighter. And that's because the screen is now having a default emission that's blasting to the world. And it's a little bright, but what we'll do is we're gonna pop a video in the TV. Before we do this, go ahead and I don't know if you need to do this again or not. Go to Tools, Pro TV, and then enable Media Player in Unity. I'm not 100% sure that you need to do that if it's already in the scene, but I do it every time anyway. And then we're gonna do just Let's do a link here. So give me a second to find something. All right, so we found a video. I'm gonna go ahead and paste that video in. And then we're gonna make sure we're clicked out of the Pro TV because we might have to click it into it while we're in editor mode to and actually enable the screen. So we'll go into play mode here. Oh, before we do that, let's go to the Live Events Pro TV because it starts off with this weird spatial audio thing. Go to speakers and then I always set my spatial blend to 0.5 for everything. Because it's still 2D audio, but then it gives that like you're still further away from the source kind of thing without messing up the audio from the DJ. So I do 0.5 and we'll do a roll off for all of them. Max distance of 15 for now. And that should be good. We'll click out of it just in the VRC world. Make sure the VRC world is also where you're spawning. So this will be this, drag it in, drag it up a little bit or something. Make sure it's not in the ground, it is in the ground. Okay. Cool, so now we got that. Now we'll press play. All right, so we spawned away, but I'm not sure you can hear audio, but what we'll do here, oh shit. All right, we're going to play here. Just want to make sure you guys could hear audio. Okay. So we're in it. After setting it up, you guys should hear audio. The screen looks weird. If that's a problem, literally just click on Pro TV and boom. Now you'll see that it reflects and reacts off the entire world. Although I don't think I set up LCTGI properly. I did not yet. But yeah, this is how you get your screen lighting. So we'll get out of play mode. And we'll make sure that these have a less of a roughness map. There we go. That's what it was. So the roughness is going to make it whether it's like super rough or not, or whether or not you can see reflections good. This is probably going to be pretty rough, but we'll just for the sake of like some wetness and realness to it, we're just going to make it about halfway. And then the tiles for sure are going to bring that down. That's going to be also really important for reflection probes. And then for these, now we kind of have an idea of like, do we want this a little darker? I think we go like a darker blue route and keep the emissions how they are to have this kind of darkness to it. But we'll also do a slight emissive boost on this next bake. And it should be good. So we'll go bakery, render. And now we're going to do, yeah, we'll do a basic resolution still. But we'll do a intensity of the emission boost of 1.5. And we'll do an ambient occlusion of 2 for a little better shadows there. And we're gonna reduce the screen brightness by, let's put it at like 15 for now. Actually, just 10. It'll make more sense. All right, so we'll go render and render again. Save. One thing to do also, I just realized, make sure you turn off environment reflections for now, otherwise it's gonna do the skybox. We can also just change the skybox too, but just for this case, go into the shader, scroll down and turn off the environment reflections. And if you have a directional light in the scene, make sure you turn off specular highlights, otherwise a big white dot will pop up somewhere. So we're gonna go ahead and do that for all of this, as well as this. And now we get this more natural dark look that we should. And we're going to turn down the smoothness of this floor a little bit. We're going to make this a little bit more rough. Make this a little bit more rough. Tiles, just a teeny bit. And then what we should have is if we go into play mode, something a little bit more realistic. See the lights reflecting off the text. I forgot that we do have to set a light map channel. Sorry. Put it to red. And then we'll do one more bake. And we'll make this a little bit brighter. It's gonna be a lot of fucking around to see what you actually want. Go bakery, render, render. By the way, for reference, I'm using a 5070 Ti, so oh, that's a little too bright. One thing that I forgot, and this is the reason why the LCTGI wasn't working, is if we go to Pro TV, you have to scroll down and create render texture and connect TV to LCTGI. Click it, don't worry about changing it, and then save, and now it'll sync up. So now what we should be able to do is bake again, which I'll skip this. All right, so we should be able to go into play mode and see things how they're supposed to be. All right, so you get the slight reflection on the floor and the walls now. Now you can see. And you can change the roughness to be able to have that however you want it. Turn down the volume a little bit. But as you can see, we got a little bit, it's a lot more realistic looking with the lighting now. So, we're cooking something. The next thing that I want to do is I want to add Lessie's screen fog. So we'll go into Lessie, go on the fog light screen. It's going to look weird at first, but we're just going to drag this into the scene. It's going to be this big box. But what we'll do is we're going to create a live render texture. I think we already did, right? For LCTGI. Let me just double check. Yeah, we did. Okay. So now what we can do for the screen fog is this is going to be a render texture. So you click on this and you just hit live and then click on that, and now it's going to be the TV. And we're going to click on this and we should see the bounding box for it. We're going to switch this to, I believe, YZ. I forget. It's going to be, where is it? XY. I think it's YZ. So we'll drag and drop. Oh, we're going to go ahead and shrink this down, because we're going to have this come off of the TV screen, and we're going to drag and drop in. And we're just going to size this. We're going to put this on the TV. So just put it on the wall. And there's several ways to do everything I'm doing, by the way. This is just how I do it. Size that up. All right. And then we'll shrink this down so it's not super intense. And this should be what I'm looking for. It just adds a little touch. Now, in this world, it might not make sense, but it's something. We might be able to make something work with this pretty good. We're going to do a density of 0.2, and then we're not going to add a projector light because I'm going to toggle off avatars and pickups. Um, it should work just fine as is. So let's make sure I set this up right. We're going to go into play mode again. I apologize for coughing so much. I believe I'm coming down with a cold. I don't think I set that up right. All right, so I lied. So what it is in the fog light screen, set it to 1 for now so you can test it out, but make sure you have it on X, Y. Don't worry about the dark fog strength for now because we can add a controller to toggle that later. But what will happen is when you go into play mode now, you get this cool kind of fog effect from whatever's in the TV. And then you want to play around with it to match it, of course, what it's supposed to be. But when you click on the TV, you get this cool effect. And one thing that I do in particular about this is I'll go into the fog screen, click on the mesh, I'll click on the shader. Oh, it's not letting me, hold on. I'll select the material, I'll click on that. It's set to 5001. I like the shader systems that I put in to kind of affect it or overlap it, so I switch it to 3000. And it still looks good, as far as all my tests that I've done with it, so should be okay to use. That should all be static. Okay. So now we're gonna add the shader system from Googie, and this is where Mochi screen effects is important. So should have a package. I think I already installed it. All you should have to do is this prefab here is drag and drop this somewhere in the world. Turn off this so you can see. And I will move this like this and just place it. Oh, shit. Place it however you think is right. This one we're going to do local. Okay. Now you'll have this thing that pops up. This is where I talked about earlier about making sure to get the TXL in. That's what's going to make this board work. So let me click on this, and we're going to move the ACLs back. Place them wherever you want. I like to put them just right here and hide them. So we're going to rotate this around 180. And then we're going to go ahead and slap that on the back of the speaker, maybe down a little bit. And that will basically be if somebody wants to play with this, they have to request it and you have to grant it. Otherwise, no one can touch this. The shader effects in the post-processing layer should already be in. And for post-processing to work, though, you're going to have to enable that, which I'll show you in just a second. You can hide these debugs in the world if you want. They will show you all the information of what's going on. I usually toggle them off. Personal preference of mine. And then we'll go into the shader effects. So you'll see here, you'll have an outline, hue shift, Sobel, contrast, HDR. So these are all stock. And then for the post-processing layers, these are a bunch of buttons that are already preset and assigned. But there's a ton that come with it that you can choose from and change up if you'd like. But for this case, we're going to keep these. We're going to probably change one of them, but we're going to shut up the shader effects first. we're going to want to toggle on the outline. So scroll down the outline, turn it to aura. I do something a little different with the outline, so we're going to change this to blue because we're going to toggle one of these to be able to change the outline color on the fly. And then I usually set the emission to 1 to make it a little bit more brighter. Don't mess with anything of that. Make sure filtering is on because that's going to be able to change the colors of stuff on the fly. We're also going to toggle on blur and have that set to pixel. Now there's nothing on there yet that shows why, but you'll see in a minute why I'm doing that. We're going to go to MISC and we're going to turn on Solvil. That should already be white. Shouldn't have to do much with that. And then we're going to click Audio Link. I always do a remap of 0 to 2. And then for blur, we're going to do this, and we're going to have it react to bass with a bass strength of 1. And then we're also going to do our outline, and I like to have mine on treble. So just max all that out. And then the MISC for the soul bell, I like having on bass. All right, so that should all be set up just how it is to get it going. And then we're going to set up post-processing real quick. You'll see the difference it makes in a world. So we'll go to VRChat World Toolkit, set up post-processing, hit OK. And it adds a lot to making things a little bit more realistic. But for the post-processing layers to work on the shader board itself, you're going to want to make sure you set a weight to 0.5 or maybe even lower so they don't clash too much, so 0.1. And that way all the post-processing layers that are preset in here will be able to override it, because if we look at these, for instance, we'll click on this, we'll click on the function, and we'll click on what this is tied to. Hold on 1 second. The yellow, blue, where is it? Targets on. Okay, so we'll click on that and we'll be able to see the weight is set to 1. So these will overlap and ride pretty well, but sometimes it just won't work if your post-processing layer is set to 1. At least what I've found out. So now we should be able to do a quick test with all that set up. We'll move the audio link panel as well closer to the board so we can mess around with it. On the fly here. I don't know why I rotated it, but all right. So now we'll go into play mode. We'll go to the TV. Once you upload a world, this little TV bug shouldn't happen. I don't know why it happens for me, but as you can see, the shader effects are already on. But we'll turn it on. That normally doesn't happen, but we have our outlines. We have our soul bell. And we should be able to change these and stack them on the fly pretty easily. And then we can turn this down for more of a delayed effect. And you can see now you have shaders working pretty flawlessly. And the nice thing about this is it's all toggling floats in one shader, and then these are all just post-processing layers, so it's pretty fairly optimized. You get cool effects like this. And then you can hit reset, and it should be just fine. what we're gonna add, we're gonna customize it just a little bit, and we're gonna add some effects. We're gonna change some of the things in it. So for the hue shift, we're gonna change this up. So we're gonna go ahead and click on the shader FX, and we're gonna go ahead and click on what is it? It's gonna be the, sorry, click on the top three and go to Edit Shader. Do not delete anything in this, but you can look at things. We'll zoom in a little bit. So what I'm going to be looking for is I want to be able to change the color of the outline on the fly. So I'm going to go down to outline. It's all really organized in here. And then there should be something in here called outline hue shifts, range 0 to 1. Go ahead and copy that float. And then we'll go into hue shift. If you want to get rid of these light pros, by the way, go down in the gizmo section, scroll down to the lights, and just uncheck anything to do with that. So that way they turn off. But we'll click this, and then we'll click on the actual slider. We'll delete hue and do that, and leave everything the same for the default values, and we'll change this to outline. Oh, I can't spell. Outline color. So now, because I have this set to blue, this should be able to change it through all the colors on the fly, depending on how high or low you set the slider. And then I don't really care for, and my personal preference, I'm not too much of a fan of the HDR bloom. So what I usually do is I go to the slider, bring up that shader code again, and I toggled on pixel blur, but I didn't add any effects to it. So what that'll just do like a basic blur. So we're gonna do a blur strength float, range 0 to 1. We'll go to copy, and then we're just gonna name it base blur. All right. So now you see it on top. It says base blur. Everything else we can keep the same for now, and you'll get the general idea. Also, what we're gonna do while we're here is I want this and this panel to be able to be seen through the shaders. So that way you don't run into an issue where you can't see what you're doing. So we're gonna click on this, the face, and we're gonna change this render queue from 2000 to 4000. And we're gonna click on the text of this, if you can, and go down to the shader, and we're gonna select Mochi, and we're gonna go standard. We'll switch it to cutout, and then we'll change the render queue on this to, let's see, we'll add 2000. Oh, shoot, hold on, 2000. And then we're also gonna toggle on the emission and make sure it's not on real time. Just put none and it's fine. We're gonna go to the shaders for this. We're also going to toggle these render queues up. The blue one's gonna be a separate material, of course. The power button's gonna be its own. And then we'll do the fader meshes as well. All right, so now we're gonna go back in. Go back into play mode here. Make sure that the shader's toggled off. Okay, good. Go into play mode. We'll mess around. And you can also mess with the shader effects on the fly in playtime too. So didn't have to worry about that too much. All right, so now we got that working. So now we got our outline, right? Now we can change the color of it on the fly. And then we got our base blur. Oh, that's our contrast, sorry. So this will blur on base, as you can see. That's a pretty cool effect. And looks really cool combining it with different things. So, but yeah, pretty easy way to set up the Googie fader panel. Very, very easy. And depending on how you have your world set up, how big it is, how small it is, the shader effects have a global fall off setting with your minimum and maximum. These will, say this world was longer and you wanted a spawn room out here, something like that, where you didn't want the shaders affecting. You can set this to a maximum range, so it'll slowly fade out, and then nobody's affected by it or can see it until they're in a certain distance. Another good idea is to make sure you add a toggle to be able to turn these effects off for people that can't handle them. It's very, very important. So we'll do that real quick. We'll just go. There's a couple ways to do this. We're gonna do it the ghetto way, but we're gonna add a cube here. We're gonna bring it out, and we're gonna create a material for it. So world materials again. Create a material. Mochi standard. We'll name it on or screen effects on. And then we're gonna pair in the light fog with that as well, because it might be too intense for some people. This material is gonna be green, but we'll assign it to the button first. And we'll change it to green. I want it emissive. Where is it? We're gonna do none. That way it's bright. So that means it's on. And then we're gonna create another material that's gonna be screen effects off. Now the way I'm doing is the ghetto way. There's definitely better ways to do this, but we're gonna duplicate that. We're gonna rename this to screen effects on. And we're gonna duplicate it. And we're gonna make the duplicated one just a hair bigger to overlap it. And we're gonna rename it to screen effects off. And then we're going to assign that material to this. And we're going to change this material to red. Emissive red. And we're going to toggle off the mesh collider for it. And I'll explain why. So we're going to toggle this off. And we're going to add an udon behavior to this. So at the bottom, you'll add component. You're going to add interactable or interact toggle. And this will be able to, once you click on it, whether in VR and desktop, it'll do what you tell it to toggle on or off. So we're going to add two things. We're going to add three things. One is going to be the fader panel. So we're going to just drag that in. The other one is going to be the fog light screen, as well as the screen effects off button. So that'll turn it on. So now if we go into play mode, this should work just fine. We'll go ahead and turn some shaders on and let it get crazy. So what this should do is if you click on it, it should turn everything on. And then you're good to go. So highly recommend it. Oh, I just hit play mode again. Highly recommended to add that toggle no matter what kind of world you're building with shader effects. There will always be people that cannot handle it. So another thing with Leslie's screen fog is it comes with a fog light screen controller, which is super nice. It also has a whitelist feature in it as well, which is nice that you can update at like beforehand in Unity. And these whitelists go by the exact VRChat username. So whether you're using VRCX or VRChat, just copying the username and setting it up. And you can put this somewhere by, where the DJ is or where the light panel person is for the night. We're just gonna put this. We're gonna move the ACLs over just a hair. We're gonna put this. Rotate a little bit. And this will have the default settings. I believe you have to connect, yeah, you have to connect the fog screen to it. But this will have the default settings that you have on the TV. And then you can adjust those on the fly. And then one thing I do in particular for this, I don't like people being able to grab this and move it wherever they want, because for this use case, it should just be for the DJ. So we're gonna slide this over. And then we're gonna click on the audio link controller and go to the left handle, turn off VRC pickup, and go to right handle and turn off VRC pickup. So now it's locked in place and can't be moved by anybody in the instance on accident. And that should be it. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna pause this and just make sure I'm not missing anything here. All right, so one thing we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a much higher quality bake. So what we're gonna do is also enable on this, enable double-sided global illumination. And then we're gonna go back to bakery and we're gonna crank up these numbers. So we're in a very indoor space, so you want high textiles. Anywhere between 50 and 75 is gonna be good. This is a small world. We can get away with a max resolution of 4K. Bigger worlds, you're gonna wanna bring that down quite a bit. We'll do 64 samples. Ambient occlusion samples will do 30. This will be a lot longer bake, but it'll be worth it in the long run because you'll see a massive difference in quality. We're gonna pump this up to 60. And then we'll render and I'll be right back. All right, so we got it rendered, and to add one more touch, we're gonna add some reflection probes in here. It's gonna really make these lights pop off the walls and a couple other things here. So what we're gonna do is go right click. It's gonna be under lights, reflection probe. Make sure you have this toggled on. Drag this and dead center it in the world. And then we're gonna edit the bounds. This one we wanna be pretty exact. And then default, it's on, I believe this is set to, okay, this is set to baked, but it's set to really low resolution. Crank it up to 2K and then set up box projection. And then what we'll do now is, so we can see, this is also going to be under bakery. Go to render light map and then render reflection probes. All right. This is where I think we're going to do. All right, so make sure we go back in, toggle on environmental reflections again. And then also, yeah, on all the shaders, so you can get the lights on the floor effect and everything. So that's reflecting off the floor. We're gonna make the roughness a little lower on the floor. Oh, that's the wrong shader. Hold on. You can kind of see the difference there and what it does. You can make it look real wet. You can also increase the intensity of the reflection probe, so we'll just bump that up to 2. But we're not gonna, we're gonna do 1.2. This one will make a little wet as well. And I think what I want to do for this is make this a little darker. But we're also going to make it fairly rough, more metallic. And now when we spawn in, kind of want this actually to be, we're going to switch this to Mochi, standard, toggle on LCTGI. We're going to make the roughness a little more realistic for it too. Okay. So now if we spawn in, should have a pretty ready to go rave world. And it's still optimized to an extent. Oh, hold on. One thing that I missed, make sure when you toggle environmental stuff back on, go to the reflection probe, change it to a solid color and change it to black. That way it's not going to take anything from the skybox. So now that that's a thing, and then obviously redo the reflection probes. Go to play mode. Just constant testing, making sure everything's good. You can look at stats too. So you can see I've had it on the whole time, but turn this down a little bit. But you can see should be getting max frame rate in Unity. We're pretty close to it. It's not more than 90k tries in this scene. It's not too many draw calls. So yeah, nobody should lag in here. Throw some shaders on. Turn the brightness up. We'll turn the contrast up too. Go teal green. Look at that. I think it looks pretty nice. As soon as the bass hits. Looks pretty nice. And yeah, built 100% from scratch. It's just a box, but I mean, this is, pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and upload this. Should be pretty easy. Looks like just do autofix on anything except for the 3D audio source. Don't mess with that. That'll fuck up your audio. Just leave it how it is. And then, yeah, we'll hit upload and then I'll record it on VRChat and we'll do like a final little drone video or something. So we'll call this the box. Set capacity to 80 just for the hell of it. And test box. We'll capture an image in the scene, post-processing, capture, and then we'll build and publish. All right, we are now on VRChat. So what it'll do is go to your worlds, Go to what you've uploaded, and then it should pop up here. So go ahead and click on it. We'll click join. Now it's 100 megabytes for a small world because of the light maps, but it's optimized to a point. So we'll load into it. I could have flipped the spawn around, but you get the point. So now we got this, everything's all working. Crank up my world volume. Everything's working how it should. Make sure this toggle works properly. It does. Looks like I made it a little uneven, but that's okay. But yeah, that's pretty much all it is to it. Being able to add your links, being able to manage your whitelist, all that good stuff. And we're set. Nothing to it. Right. I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording, and then I'm gonna do a little demo video and put it at the end of the video here, and that should be it. Reach out to me on here. I guess leave a comment if you need any help or anything like that. So, all right, peace.